platform in not only in Kenya but Africa and even
is being recorded.
And even the world. Twitter came into limelight during President Trump inaugural winning of the US election. No one expected President Trump, a businessman, to really win the election against his fellow compatriot Hillary Clinton. All the stakes pointed that Hillary Clinton will win. But after that magic win of Donald Trump, people have realized the rise of social media, the rise of the likes of Twitter, the likes of Facebook. But in our case here, we wanted to analyze the issue about Twitter. Is Twitter really making a huge impact on elections? You will notice that recently, Twitter has been a very influential social media platform. For example, in Nigeria, there were End SARS movement. This was about stopping the Nigerian police violence against its own citizens. This movement gained worldwide traction. It made Nigerian youth, especially the youth, to voice their concern against police violence. You'll also remember about the BLM, Black Lives Matters. So you'll realize that Twitter has been a very influential social media platform. And that's why, even if you look at it in another perspective, that's why Elon Musk, one of the most influential business person currently in our century, is even trying to do a takeover of Twitter. He's trying to buy Twitter. So all in all, this points out that Twitter has really rose to be a social media platform, not only as a social media platform, but also as a platform that shapes both political, social, and economic aspects. Now, in our case in Kenya, it's widely known that our politicians have never taken advantage of social media. Even if they've taken advantage of social media, they only joke about social media. They write issues that are not well considered. But in the 2022 general election, you'll realize that most of the social media, most of the politicians even had to hire brand managers who specialize on the social media aspect. You'll realize that, for example, in Ruto's camp, they appointed Mr. Hussein Mohammed as his spokesperson. In Raila's space, they appointed the influential former KTN journalist Dennis Onsarigo as their communication expert. All in all, this shows that the social media platform and communication is one of the most influential stake in an election. And I foresee a situation whereby in the coming years, Twitter and other social media will rise and even have an impact on the social media. Then I'll put on this perspective. In the 2022 general election, you'll realize that both camps, the leading two camps, that is Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, really invested in social media. So you'll find that Azimio had some Azimio TV, as the Kenya Kwanza campaign used the Hustler TV. And you'll also realize it even took the Kenya Kwanza team to even deploy their economic strategies called WD, even illustrate to Kenyans on Twitter, especially on Twitter, how the hustler economic will work, especially the bottom up economy. So you'll find that both camps try to leverage on the social media, especially Twitter, and you'll find that the camp that really had the majority of influencers, just the same as what happened in Jubilee versus NASA in 2013, 2017, you'll realize that camp really made a huge statement. It really portrayed a good image of itself, even though there were some issues concerning the image of the politician. But social media really played a huge role in sanitizing the image of Kenya Kwanza and also sanitizing the image of Azimio politician. Also, you'll have to realize that one of the disadvantage of the social media that we came to realize is that social media is prone to misinformation. There was a time that the now president, Mr. William Ruto, was addressing a rally in Gishu. The the opponent, that is as the opponent, had to even edit a video to show that Mr. William Ruto is inciting violence against the so-called Madoadoa community. The Madoadoa remarks in Kenya is so serious in that it paints a picture of the 2007-2008 tribal clashes, because the term Madoadoa means a foreigner in a native land. So you'll find that when Twitter is not being used constructively, it can also cause violence, because it took upon Kenyans, like the likes of African Cesar, led by John Allan Namu, to really come up with an investigative team, so that whenever any information is being thrown out on Twitter platform, they had to investigate, so that these cases of misinformation has to be reduced before it reaches to the wider public. Then you'll also realize an issue about when Raila Odinga was giving his manifesto. He talked about Mitumba issue. He talked about the religion issue. The other country took advantage of this and turned it in a negative way, so that they can gain more supporters. They turned the Mitumba issue to be about dead people and about Raila not respecting the dignity of the poor people. So you'll find that these are the influences of Twitter, how communication is being now used to challenge or to influence even the decision of the common mwananchi. The church issues, when Raila says that Kenya is a secular state, how was Twitter used? Twitter was used to influence the person back at the village, the so-called religious people. They were used to mobilize. Even Rigathi Gachagua, in his speech in Meru after they won the election, he said that they had to mobilize pastors and give them some tokens so as to rally their congregants against Raila, because they believe that Raila will turn state of Kenya into an unworshipping state. So this is how powerful Twitter has been. One of the most remarkable developments that have been made in the Kenyan social media, you realize that even during the election, some Twitter handles, some Twitter spaces. I can give an example of Mwango Capital, that Twitter handle. If you search it, you realize that they came up with a volunteering team. They marshal up a volunteering team so that they can tally the number in the IBC portal. And what they did is that after tallying up the IBC portal, you'll agree with me, what they tallied and what the IBC portal released were the same. Even when during the election, even during the during election petition, when Mrs. Julie Soweto was presenting her evidence on court, Kenyans were so keen to verify what she was presenting. You'll find that the influential use of Jose Cargo, that didn't escape Kenyans on Twitter. They said that was not an authentic evidence, and realized that Kenyans in professions that are related to technology, they even came up with something called threads to show how Azimio mess up in their evidence. And that's all in all showed the influence of Twitter, whereby professionals are even empowered to give their voice. Now it's very funny that now I'm currently at home, or I'm currently at the office. I can tweet something that I feel the president is not doing right. That is the power of social media. Any person can relay information. And I encourage all of us who are here to use the power of social media to even market ourselves, to create a brand for ourselves. Just try to create a brand out of yourself, and you can maximize on it. So In my conclusion remark, I can portray that Twitter will not only have an influence on Kenya, but in the coming years, it will have a very huge influence on the world economic, political, and social aspect. Even though it is prone to abuses, I think going forward, it has more positive as compared to negative aspect. So I thank Mr. Harun, and if anyone has any question, you are free to ask. Thank you so much.
Hello, Michael. Thank you so much for joining this session, and also thank you so much for sharing this kind of narratives and this kind of what happened before and during the election. From the campaign period, how Twitter was used for political purpose, to also during the election period where Mwango Capital were doing a kind of independent tallying, and that is also closer to the same. It shows how Twitter can be used for diplomatic purpose, and also it can show how Twitter can be a very influential platform in our democracy society. Thank you so much for sharing those kind of insights. We are highly appreciating. Maybe if among the participants, is there anyone who would like to ask any question directly? Maybe is anyone with any question, you can unmute yourself, or you can just post via the chat direct.
Yeah, Haron, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So this is Johnson Ochieng.
Welcome, Johnson.
Yes, I'm a student at Kenyatta University. I'm pursuing a Bachelor of Degree. I'm pursuing a degree in Bachelor of Commerce, Finance option. I'm also running a community-based organization in Kibera. So just do a follow-up on what Michael has said. To a time, making comparison between the two camps, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. There were propagandas here and there, the church thing, the Madoa thing. Let me ask, should there be a limit to what we can post on Twitter? Because I felt when I was in Kibera, tensions were rising because Azimio had posted that they were leading with some 7 point something million. So like the Azimio team in Kibera were now getting over anxious about the results. So I felt there was a little more tension, and if it was not well managed, then it would have costed. So my question is, in as much as we are posting, is there a need for the limiting?
Maybe Michael, will you like to answer that question? I can see you're still muted, Michael. I cannot hear you. Hello, can you hear us, Michael? We cannot hear you. Okay, maybe just to respond to your question, Johnson Ochieng, you're asking, should there be a limit in order to be posted in Twitter? I can say yes. Just to summarize that, social media is one of the most powerful weapons, which it can either make you to be a great person, or if it can destroy you completely. It depends on how best you can use it. In the political system, social media it's being used as a tool to mobilize voters, while at the same time, social media is being used for the propaganda. You can remember what happened to US during during Donald Trump election. He was using Twitter to influence his country. And you can say what happened. Also, if you can remember some few weeks ago, the son to Uganda president, he was trying to threaten Kenyans that he will capture Nairobi within 7 days. You see, something which raised tension, and it led to most of the East African countries to kind of shout and act upon it. Later on, this guy had to kind of ask for apologies. You can see that Twitter, it can be a very strong platform for the diplomatic ties, and it's a very influential platform because, from my opinion, I can say that Twitter is very influential because it comprises of this kind of people, elites. Majority of people in Twitter are elites. These are the most powerful people. Maybe let me try to differentiate between Facebook and Twitter. Facebook, it comprises a lot of, I don't know which term I should use, but it comprises a lot of locals. While Twitter, it's comprised a lot of elites. And you know, when you're dealing with elites have power to push and to mobilize or to influence others to join the movement. That's what makes Twitter very unique. And it's very easy to trend a topic within Twitter. And once a topic is trend, either countrywide or worldwide, that's a different story. You see? So yes, there should be a limit to what you're posting in Twitter, because those kind of digital footprints will remain there, and one day they will mount you in the political system. In Kenya, I think we have a special. We have, I don't know if it's National Integration Commission something, and I cannot remember well, but there is a special department in charge of those kind of
NCIC.
Yeah, NCIC. They're specific in charge of those propaganda, those kind of abuse via the social media. And I can remember there was a time when there was this kind of politicians who were trying to give a kind of a hate speech, a kind of a madoadoa. These guys had to give warning to them, and that's why majority of the politicians were so keen with what they were posting. Yeah. Also, there was these people known as Twitter DCI. These are common citizens who are observing what is happening and raising these issues. And even in Kenya, DCI, they actively use Twitter to gather intelligence information. So I can say, yeah, we should have a limit with what we are posting online. We should be so, especially for young people, we should be so keen with what you are posting to your Twitter handle, because one day, one time, it will mount you. As I said, social media is one of the most powerful weapons. It can either make you or destroy you completely. Yeah, maybe back to our speaker. Do you have anything to add from Johnson's question?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, I have something to add. As much as we advocate for Twitter use control, I think what we should really advocate is for responsible use of social media, because once we said we control Twitter, that means we'll give the government control, and that's what our forefathers were fighting against. So we should just advocate for responsible use of Twitter, and as youth, we should really be keen on what we are posting on social media. So one of the inspiration I got from just a colleague is that you should not also shy away from using social media just because you have some digital footprint. You leave digital footprint. But what you should do, use social media to build your brand. For example, someone is talking about CBO, a community-based organization. Look at how you can create a brand of your community-based organization in your social media. If your community-based organization is a government critique, So, and you consider that, maybe because I'm a government critic, I cannot post in the social media. Just find a way to criticize the government without putting abuses. Use social media responsibly, because I'm a strong supporter of using social media responsibly instead of controlling social media. That's all I have, sir.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So Nicole posted a question. Nicole, would you like to share your question direct, or should I read it? Nicole, are you with us? Okay, allow me to just read his or her question quickly. As much as Twitter has power, most of the time there are a lot of misinformation about different subjects, and by the time people realize and verify, it's already late. How do you deal with such scenario? Back to you, Mr. Michael.
I think that's a very important question. So for me as a social media user, what I do is I check where I'm getting the information from. For example, there has been a case about the appointment of cabinet secretary. So maybe you've gotten an information about a certain type of cabinet secretary appointed to a certain post. As a social media user, you should first know that the exact communication, the official communication, should come from the government handles. So usually follow the government handles. Usually follow the credible sources. So, for example, if it's about terrorism, you'll find that where you'll get factual information is either from the mainstream media platform like KTN and TV. So follow those pages. If you also DCI page, you can follow that. So depending on what information you have, kindly first verify that information if it's coming from the official source. If it's not coming from the official source, kindly treat that information as fake news or misinformation. And that's the greatest lesson I learned on countering misinformation, because during the election, especially the 2022 election, you'll realize that both camps were telling their supporters, like Azimio, they're telling their supporters, Pima Suti ya blue. The Kenya Kwanza camp will tell you freedom is coming, freedom is coming. So both camp wanted to give hope to their supporters, but at the end of the day, the person who had the power to declare the president was none other than Wafula Chebukati, the chairman of the defunct IBC. So for me, I think the best way to counter against misinformation is, first, whenever you get an information from social media, first verify this information from the official channel. the official channels. Even you, when you get an information from, for example, a school, you'll get it from the official communication channel. If you are on Twitter, you are a student of Strathmore, and you have gotten information from your colleague regarding Strathmore, you'll go first to the Twitter handle of Strathmore and check if that information has been conveyed by the Twitter handle of Strathmore. If it's not there, then treat that information as either has not been communicated or it's a false information. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Michael. Allow me also to share some few tips from this question from Nicole. He or she's asking, how do we deal with such scenario? The best way to deal with misinformation or disinformation, first thing first, once you receive that information anywhere, either Twitter, WhatsApp group, Facebook, Instagram, email, anywhere, once you receive any kind of information, stop. Stop first, analyze that information. Next thing, reflect. Trying to reflect, does this information relevant? Does this information bring value? Or will this information cause chaos? Trying to reflect and trust your inner instincts before you either retweet or reshare to other platforms. Then lastly, if your instincts are conflicting each other, verify. Trying to think, where does this information comes from, or how can I source or verify this information? So you have 3 steps. 1, stop. 2, reflect. And the last one, verify the information. Allow me to share, there's a link, there's a special course from YALI. YALI, it means Young Africa Leadership Initiative. They have something called YALI Check. YALI Checks, it's focusing more concerning, it will provide you with knowledge of this information check. It will help you to understand well and how to counter misinformation and be the good ambassador. I have posted the link. It's a kind of course which can take you like a maximum of 4 or 5 hours, depends with your speed. Once you finish it, you'll do a short quiz and get a certificate. YALI, it's a program under US Embassy. It was launched by Barack Obama during the time he was the president of USA. So use that course, gain those tools, knowledge, and use it for your advantage. But don't be mean with that knowledge. Please help to share it to the larger audience. I can see another question. Sometimes even official channels spread the fake information a little later after being verified, especially the media. Yeah, what I can say is that you need, as a youth leader, or as a youth advocate, or as a good ambassador, you need to be vocal. And you need to talk with facts. Every time you are engaging with these politicians, remember, politics in Kenya, it's more of, okay, politics in Kenya, it's more of misinformation. It's more of propaganda, you see? They're taking advantage of the high illiteracy level among young people and our community. So it's up to us as young leaders to take control and be like a good ambassador to say no to these kind of behaviors. But before you engage with these professionals who are spreading propaganda, you need to be prepared with facts. You need to be prepared with a good knowledge, and you need to be vocal. I can remember, just to give a good example, I can remember before election, there was some few people who were approaching me to be one of the social media propaganda within their own party. You see, and they were to pay me well. But I said, no, I cannot do that because it's not in accordance with my values. My value is to talk the truth and facts. You see, so you need to be so keen also not to be misused with these social media. To be misused with these politicians. Yeah. So thank you so much. Maybe another person with question? or opinion we like to share? Maybe just to wind up. Sorry, Michael.
Maybe if you allow me, also, it's not only about our local media stations that have been prone to misinformation. You'll also realize that even during the 2022 general elections, some international media had even have the independent talent. I can give example of Reuters. I can give example of BBC, but at sometimes they had to pull down their talent because they were so concerned about their information, if they're really relaying the right information. So this gives you a perspective of how precarious in communication is, and how things are changing in the communication arena. It's not only about communication being left at the media, but also as what Harun has said, it is also us and as individuals to be responsible on what we are relaying to the public. When you get an information, before retweeting, before sharing, please verify if that information is true or not, because from just a simple action of repeating, it means that you have approved that information. You have given that information credibility. So once you do that, it means that you are part of the group, that is spreading misinformation, and it can create chaos, which you may be a direct. This one, you're not even an indirect participant, but a direct participant of creating confusion and also creating chaos. So let us not let the information to be at the purview of only the local media or the international media, but also us as individuals to be active participants in verifying and making sure that the information you are sharing out here is credible and it is factual. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for joining our today's session. It was a very brief session, as I told you via the email. Every week, I'm hosting some weekly conversation aiming to analyze the 2022 Kenya general elections, and we still have some series of session. Though next week I will be taking a break, we will not have a session, and we'll resume back the next week after next week. So, guys, thank you so much. As you're logging out from this session, I'd like to remind you again, please, the best way to counter disinformation or misinformation, you need to stop, reflect, and verify. 3 things: stop, reflect, verify. Before you retweet, you share, or you engage the wider audience. This is the only best way to prevent misinformation, which might lead to chaos or kind of conflict within our society. As young leaders, we need to be responsible leaders, and please be free to share this knowledge with your fellow peers, with your own network to engage further. I have shared a link via the chat box. Please use that link to do that, because it will really help you to understand how to counter misinformation and be the ambassador of this. Thank you so much. So I will keep updating you, but just to give you updates, we are planning for a session which will focus on the role of women in governance, politics, and democracy. For this session, we're aiming to examine the engagement of women during the electioneering period. Then we'll have a special session which focus on Kenya Kwanza foreign and regional policy. Our main aim also is to try to analyze the speech from President William Ruto and its effectiveness to the regional and foreign policy. This session are planned, and I'm still looking for some speakers. If you like to be one of the speakers, please get in touch with me via my email, the same email. Meanwhile, I'll share the recording of this session and our previous session so that you can engage and learn some few tips which will help you in your professional field. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Cheers. Maybe, Michael, do you have any last parting shot you'd like to share before we close this session?
Just to reiterate your three statements, we need to be so careful in this social media era. Mine is just to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And in regards to the president's speech, I'm also welcome to give my insight. So I'll send you an email to be among the speakers if that will be welcome. And I thank you, all of you, for making time to grace this session. Thank you so much.
Sure. Welcome, everyone, and see you next few weeks. Cheers.